all my friends. I'm Suki, the Brown-Eyed Stitcher, and this is Flosstube 23. And the day that I'm filming this is Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving here in America. And this is apparently a very long run-on sentence because I just keep saying and. Period. New sentence. Okay. I am so scattered right now. But I have my projects prepped so I can just work through things. There's a lot on my mind and I'm trying this experiment thing that has me feeling some physical discomfort and it's a little distracting, but that's okay. It's okay. Words. So my last video was my whole whip parade, and thank you for waiting on that. I had filmed it 2 weeks ago, but it didn't get posted until last week, and so I've got just about 2 weeks of progress to show you on projects, even though it's only been a week since my last video. My last Flosstube video, because I went live over the weekend. We did some Stitch with Me's, and y'all were the very best for me over the weekend. I have no problem being very open about like my own personal struggles, like my weaknesses and faults. And I try to be very careful about what I say about situations that involve other people. So what I will say is that this last weekend was stressful for multiple reasons. And because of that stress, I decided to balance some of that by talking with you guys. So while I was stitching my daily stitches on my bookshelf, I just set up the live stream and just chatted and stitched, and it was great. It was so good. I know that Stitch with Me's or going live is stressful for some people, but to me it's just stitching with friends. We just chat. Sometimes it's less chatty, but over this weekend there were so many of you, and many of you were chatty with me. So there were no like, we're silent, what am I going to talk about moments. It was fantastic. And it was not stressful to me at all. I truly mean it when I say that it was the least stressful part of my entire weekend. But I made it through, and it's finished, and this week my calendar is so empty, and I just made some other decisions to keep things clear. Haven't really been doing any formal homeschooling. I'm not very formal. Have not. The only cleaning I've done is dishes. It's just been very clear and open and just a very needed week where I kind of just do what I want to do, which means I've done a fair amount of stitching, which feels very nice. So let's get into the projects. I'm sure there will be like things that pop out unproject related. I have 2 finishes since my last video. Or was this finished before the last video? Hold on. Maybe I only have 1 finish since my last video. This was in a place. Look, I don't even have the finish date on here. I think I finished this sunset. Y'all don't need to hear my inner thoughts just like spewing forth from my mouth, and yet it is. This is a finish from my last video because I remember Calendar Girls I had finished September, like that day or the day before or something. So I went on and I have finished October. With all the pumpkins. This is actually quite large, which meant that her skirt didn't take as long as some of the other skirts take. You can't really tell in the camera, but for some reason this lower hem, maybe it's just the way that I stitched it, but it kind of gaps up. I don't think I can get it to where you guys can see it. Probably not, but it kind of bumps out like this. You can't see it. That's okay. I can see it in person, but I think that once it's finished, it'll be fine. It's not. It may just be very noticeable to me because I'm the stitcher. So this was the 10th Calendar Girl to be finished. I had a finish yesterday. Okay. This is, look at that. Let's see if I can fold that over. There we go. Ta-da! So this is Mystery Town. It was a stitch along in 2017 by Ship's Manor. The fabric, it's called Cloud Shapes. This one's an Aida. It's 16 count. It was the fabric. I don't know that they made it for this stitch along. I'm pretty certain that you can still buy it though from Ship's Manor. But it's the one they recommended. That's what I was trying to say there. So this is a Ship's Manor fabric. The pattern is Ship's Manor 2017. You can still buy it. I will tell you. So I don't know if it's released. If you buy it now, I don't know what format it's in. I can only tell you what format I had it in. Part 0 was all of this background. Like all of these trees, the river, not these little beehives, but everything surrounding it. Not these trees either. These trees, yes. This whole path in front. And I did all of that in January of 2017. And then February came and part 2 or 1 was released, which is this part. with up here and down here. And there were options. There were 2 options. And Eric of Ship's Manor, he's like, every part's going to have options, so you get to choose what you stitch. And I freaked out. Like, 2017 Suki did not know how to make choices. Like, and then how could you make choices on an entire piece when you don't know the entire piece? Like, how was I going to choose between a barn or a church if I didn't know what all the other building options were going to be? So I put it aside. And I did not touch it again until, oh, I don't know where my paper is. January 2022. 5 years later. So 5 years later, I picked this back up and I sat down with, by that point I had decided I wanted the barn instead of the church. But I sat down with my daughter and we looked at all the other parts and I told her what I was thinking and she gave her thoughts as well, and we decided on which of the buildings to do, but also deciding that we didn't like some of the colors, so we knew that when I was stitching those parts, I'd be changing colors. So I will go part by part. This is the barn, apple trees and beehives. That is all as charted. Part 2, this is like a store, right? You could have it be whatever you wanted it to be. The shadowing colors are the same, and I think the roofing colors are the same, but all of the like purples and in here, the counter, those were all chosen. My daughter chose all of that. It says Lee's Pet Cafe. A pet cafe is a place you go and there are pets there, like dogs and cats and maybe rabbits and things like that. And you can interact with the pets and you can buy them treats. That's what a pet cafe is. Anyway, so Lee's Pet Cafe. Part 3. Oh, and this, you could either have it be a flower cart or a car. I chose the flower cart and filled it in with colors of my choice. Like the cart and the wheel part is as charted, but the flower part were just, you got to choose what colors and everything. Part 3 has an upper part and a lower part. And this is what I chose to do. I actually forgot the back stitching on this, so I did that last. And there's no back stitching on that one. I don't think we changed the colors on this house, and I know we didn't change any colors here. 1, 2, 3, 4 was this house. I love these windows. And the vines coming up it. I changed the color of the house. I didn't like its brown. I think it was maybe this color brown. I didn't want that for the whole house, so I chose a different brown that I liked. And then the door and this stripe up here was yellow. I didn't like the yellow. So we actually talked about doing a blue color, but last minute I didn't like the idea of blue. So I went with pink, and then it took 3 tries to get the right pink. First it was like too light and then too dark, and so I went right in the middle. And Mama bared it. Part 5 was this house, and this fountain and walkway actually comes from the other option. There were two house options, and we liked this house, but we liked this fountain. So I stitched in the fountain, and then we put in this house, and it is as charted, no color changes. It's actually crazy. There's backstitch around these columns, and putting in that backstitch really made them look like a rounded column rather than just flat. Then I came up here, part 6, and did the windmill and the hot air balloons. The hot air balloons were just, there was no way to know where they were supposed to go. So I just picked a place and stitched it in. This is as charted, and then this blue was supposed to be these pink stripes. And instead of this zigzag line, it was another row straight back stitch. I didn't want that much blue up here, so I did the little one in blue, and then I chose this same pink as this upper and lower stripe, and then a lighter pink for that middle, and then I did a zigzag, even though the zigzag has like a half one at the end. I did it anyway from back here. It looks fantastic. And that's how you're going to see it, is back here. So all in all, once I finally started working on this again, which was after part 3, so 4, 5, and 6, I was like, once I finally work on this, I guess I should say, once I started working on this after I finished Under the Sea, I was like, it's not going to take me very long because these parts stitch up really quickly. I think it took me like 7 stitching days to do this, 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 and this. So just 7 additional days. It was so fast. And this is my 3rd finish of November and my 10th finish of the whole year. So I'm pretty happy with that. It does use variegated, like, ship's manner colors. I will show you them. Yes. Not that there's much to see anymore. You won't be able to see the variegation. This is called Inchworm. And it is, I'm pretty certain it's this green. Lime Light, which is this brighter green. And I'm showing you this because you can see how there is variegation in those. Patina, which is this green. Twisted Oak, which is the path down here. I think I did pretty well because 2017 Suki didn't really know how to work with variegated threads. This might have been my first experience, actually. I knew enough to know not to do like a loop start or anything like that, and to complete each X, and that if I just went across in a row, the variegation would look really striped. So I knew I didn't want that. So I remember trying to make it look more natural. I don't know that I succeeded, but that's what I did. The last one is called Wild Rose, and I think this is the most variegated because it's brown and pink. And that you can see like here, it's here, and these like trees and the bushes in front of this house That's all that color, the rose, dusty rose. And that's all she wrote. Oh, I wanted to show you something about this pattern. I remember talking on my backstitching video. I remember saying something like, it's pretty obvious if they're telling you like a different color to use for backstitch, like if you have multiple colors of backstitch. Well, then I did I was doing this house right here. And in the is 310 and 415. If that and that looks like the same exact line, that's because it is. Like they didn't make a they didn't differentiate between the two. Whereas this one, you can see a difference between that line and that line. So it just made me laugh that I came across this and I'm like, they're exactly the same. And in the pattern itself, it looks exactly the same. There's no difference. I was looking at it and I'm like, this is the same thing. But I figured out what was what, and that it's the windows that were the lighter color and everything else was the black. So I figured it out, but it was just funny that I had said that in my backstitching video and then encountered a like chart that was not very clear. But that, I think, is the first time that I've ever had that, so. And it was only that one part out of all the options, I think. So that brought me down. Finishing that took me to 25 projects now, which I think is pretty good. It feels better than having 34 projects, so far, so good. I'm just going to keep going. I'm liking what I'm doing so far. Okay. Because I finished October, that meant I went to November for Calendar Girls. And it's still November, so that's exciting to work on a piece while it's in the same month. Ta-da! This is the only month that has a tricolor title. All the other ones are just one color. This is the bird. He's missing its beak still, so he doesn't. And then look, her clothes are cream. Which on this fabric just doesn't quite, you can see it shows up on this picture. I think this fabric is just a little bit lighter. Once I get in everything else, you do see the cream well enough. And in person, it doesn't look as non-existent as it does in the camera. But so what I've been doing, it's only taken how many months in order for me to get smart about how I stitch this. I've been alternating between 1 or 2 strands of this color or of her dress, because there's so much of it, and anything else. So I did that, and then I would do a strand in the letters, and then I would do another 1 or 2 strands of this, and then more. And now I'm working my way down the vine and alternating there. When I finish the vine, I'll do that with her face and all that stuff. So that way I'm breaking up all of that like block stitching a little bit. Because working on that dress like at the end that whole time, it's a small pattern, but still it can feel a little bit tedious, I guess. That I plan on November and December being finished by the end of the year. I plan on that. My next project, this is Temperature Library for 2022. I have made this a piece that I stitch on for, well, theoretically I stitched on it for 30 minutes, but the first week I learned that I can stitch about 4 books in 30 minutes. So now I just stitch about 4 books and call it good. I don't even pay attention to the time. But it's really effective to have something, a project that you can go to every day. I think I've missed one day, but I made it up the next day. It was fine. And even if I do miss, I'm not like super worried about it because I've made a lot of progress just by trying to get to it every day. So that's where we're at. We're in the August shelf. If you can see here in July, it's like hot, and then we've got like one cooler day. And then we come into August, and it's hot again, and then we have like this one cool day. It's so random. This colors, that's the hottest. We had, like, our heat index was really hot for all of these, like, other red books. Oftentimes those days were over 100 in the heat index, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But the actual temperatures here are like in the 90s. I have no idea how to translate that to Celsius in my head on the spot right now. Maybe like in the 30s or something. Anyway, it's 62-ish%. What I have done is, this is all the way through October. I collected all the dates and the temperature, and then from there I have a card with my legend in it, and I put all of those in. So I stitch from here, and I just highlight it when I finish, like that book. And all my colors are jewel tones, and I love it. I did change the color of the bookshelf, and I do think I'm going to go and back stitch all the books. I also have to do all the little tchotchkes still, and so I'm going to do the back stitching and the little tchotchkes at the same time. Probably what'll happen is that I will get all the way through November before December is finished, and maybe at that point I will go back up to the top and like get that all filled in, and then I can finish out December and the piece will be finished. Currently, that's my plan for it. I don't know that it'll be done on December 31st, but it will probably be my first finish of next year. Then last night, because I had finished Mystery Town, I pulled out a full coverage. Queen of the Night, artwork by Josephine Wall, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I really need to give this one adequate attention. I want it to get to 30% complete, and then pull out my Christmas full coverage before the end of the year, because my Christmas full coverage is still missing, I think, like 4,000 stitches in order to get its yearly goal on it for this year. It's the only goal that is not been met yet. But this one needs attention, so I need to get this to 30%, and then I can pull out Father Christmas. So now that I finished Mystery Town, I feel really comfortable, not replacing that one yet. Anyway, so I pulled this out last night and put in 250 stitches. I mostly just filled in some colors up here, and then I brought those colors down here if I could, or over here, just to finish out the thread. I think I'm just basically trying to fill in this page, the rest of that page, so that means her wing is going to come this way. Her face is down here. What else? Oh, this is on 25 count, 2 over 1/10 stitch, and is currently at 26.66%. So I think what I'm going to do is finish that page, carry it wherever as I need to, and then I think I'm going to fill in these 2 pages since I don't have to move the Q-snap. That'll definitely, I won't finish all of that before I hit 30%. But that's my plan of attack, is finish this page, then come here and work on that until I get to 30%. You can go that way. Okay, I just have 2 more projects to show you. This is, of course, always the one to show. Treasure Hunt Bookshelf by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Design, the supersized max color version. I am on the 3rd shelf. It's crazy. It is crazy to be here. I feel like I will be over here before I really have it in my brain that I'm stitching on the 3rd shelf. My daily stitch goal is 600 stitches. It's higher than I want it to be, but that's what it has to be in order to still be able to travel places and not feel stressed otherwise. So 600 it is. This is 28 count, 2 strand, 10th stitch. Look at how empty it is. Oh my goodness. So I've put in, since you last saw it, which means all of this has been put in since you last saw it. This is 8,000 153 stitches. It's at 53.72 now. And a lot of this, if you were on my live stitching, you saw me finish out this section and come back up here. Y'all, we need to have a conversation about this. So, I stitched this chart by section, and then I have in Pattern Keeper the diagonal running like this. And I just pick like the top color that's closest to this corner, and I stitch that out as far as I can, and then I pick the next color that's closest to up here and I stitch that out. These parked threads are because when I was stitching it out, this was like the last stitch and it wasn't easy to anchor it at that point. So eventually I will have more stitches filled in and I will be able to anchor those to finish out the threads. So sometimes those colors like create outlines, and that's what happened here is I created this outline, and when I could see kind of the outline and just a few colors in here, I was like, it looks like a Chinese lucky cat. It did. Even my daughter agreed. And then as I kept picking colors and stitching down, I was like, I'm pretty certain it's not a lucky cat, but it looks like a crown. Doesn't that look like a crown? And then I got down here, and I'm like, it's crying blood. Like a lucky cat with a crown crying blood. Like I knew I'm 100% wrong, but I couldn't see what it was. But now that I finished all of this, I think I know what it is. I think it's like a pagoda kind of gazebo. So you've got like your lower part, and then you've got the columns, and you have the roof line, and then you've got like an upper tier. I think that's what this is. Not a lucky cat crying blood. I don't think Amy Stu would be morbid like that. But that part definitely went through a series of, I have zero idea what I'm stitching. And even when I finished today, because I reached that point this morning, I still was like, I still am not really sure what it is. But then as I kept like stepping back and looking at it, I realized I think that's what it is. I think it reminds me a little bit of the gazebo pagoda place in her the Red Swan, A Tale of Red Swans piece. Sometimes you see pieces from other charts in here. It's not the same. If you went and to look at that chart, it's not the same, but it reminds me of that. So that's what I think. I love the flowers coming down here. So I'm excited to keep going on this and get this filled in as I get to it. 600 stitches every day. It does take me, I do get a lot of questions about how long that takes me. So this is tent stitch. So it is faster than a full cross. It takes me close to 3 hours. It kind of depends. If all 600 stitches are confetti stitches, it's going to take me 4 or more hours and like take a toll on my sanity, I guess. But usually there's a good mix of confetti, ninja stitches, and like I can actually finish a strand of color stitches. It's not the same thing as block stitching. There's hardly any block stitching in this pattern, and I'm okay with that. But when there are large sections of few colors, like this is all 310. If I was just working with colors that had as block stitching as you can get on this piece, then it takes me more like 2 hours. But in general, it can take me about 3 hours, and which is a lot, but it does mean that I watch Flosstube a lot. I watch anybody that I'm current on. I watch those ones first, so I stay current on them. And then I have a playlist. It's called Backstock. If you know the home edit, you'll know that term, backstock. And it has a whole bunch of different channels, videos from the beginning, because I need to know all y'all very well. So I turn on that playlist and we'll watch that. So that's what I do when I'm stitching on this. Sometimes I will listen to an audiobook, but not usually. I'd rather watch Flosstube. Okay, the last project requires a little explanation. So I don't even know when this started, probably October, early October maybe. I started thinking about, okay, I'm going to give one disclaimer here. What I'm going to say is an expression or a reflection on me and my thoughts here, and zero judgment on anybody else, because you make your choices and I make my choices. And I don't hold anybody else to my way of living my life. So that's the only disclaimer here. I don't want you to feel like you are judged if you make a different choice than me. It's just like choosing whether or not you're going to stitch full coverage to me. It's not for everybody. Anyway, so I knew the holiday season was coming, and I knew that it's always, there's always additional stress during the holiday season, not just because of, well, for a lot of reasons. It doesn't matter. And so I kept thinking about these, I kept wanting a stamped kit. Let's go with this. I kept wanting a stamped kit. I even got to the point where I picked some out and was ready to order. But I kept hesitating and I kept hesitating because I really, really, really want to support artists and honor their copyright and their right to their artwork. And it's very, very hard to know when you're looking at stamped kits whether an image is a stock photo or public domain in any other way or not. But chances are that it's an unlicensed work that is not giving any proceeds to the artist. And it was, I kept hesitating because of that reason, but I really wanted I really wanted to have this project that I didn't have to have anything else for. Calendar Girls is small. It's not like it takes a lot of pieces, but it does take your fabric, your floss, and a pattern. Stamped kits, you don't have to have the pattern because the pattern is on the fabric. So it just eliminated like this one other piece, and I just wanted it for ease of maybe finding myself someplace where I just needed to take my mind off something and stitch. So what I did was I contacted Alara and said, please, do you have a stamped kit that you don't mind if I stitch on and give it back to you? Like, I just need something to stitch. That's it. There was like this particular need that I was wanting to address, and I couldn't think of how else to fill it. And she did. She had one. She sent it to me, and I'm gonna stitch on it and eventually give it back to her. It may not be finished when I give it back to her. That's okay. And let me tell you, I'm going to show it to you in a second, but let me tell you about this. It has filled that void. And it's actually been used more than in certain areas more than I thought that it would. My sleep has been not feeling rested again. This is something that I've struggled with forever. Like, it'll feel like I've gotten the hours, but that I don't feel rested. I'll wake up feeling just exhausted. And it had improved, and then it got worse again. And so now that I have a sleep tracker that is tracking certain things like my heart rate and whatever, I now know that it is stress related. The more stress that I feel, and I already know that I have this emotional stress that affects my body, and anyway, like the more stress that I feel, the harder it is for my body to recover adequately at night, especially because I can't just sleep as long as I want to. Like if I don't go to sleep early enough, I don't sleep in. Anyway, I don't think you needed to know that. What was I saying about this? Oh, so approaching the holidays, I just thought that I would need it like in moments where, kind of like I use Calendar Girls, but something even easier than that on my brain. Well, this whole last week, as I've been feeling all of the stress about this last weekend and everything, and waking up just totally tired, and then getting really cranky and grumpy and frustrated, like so frustrated about it, I set this up by my bed. My lamp and my battery pack that I have for retreats, I set up right next to my bed. And this. And in the morning when I wake up, if I am just really struggling to get out of bed and have a good and happy mindset, I work on this. Or yesterday I was in a store waiting for my daughter as she was shopping for clothes, and I worked on this. And so it's really filled this void, and I find it so unfortunate that it's hard to find stamped kits that you can trust that the artist is getting their like recognition and their, it's not royalties, is it? Whatever, like, it is the equivalent of royalties. There's a market for that. But I have a feeling that it would be really hard for somebody to come in with licensed kits because they're being undercut by everybody else who's already out there. So I do find it so unfortunate that we don't, that it's hard. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Because I think there's so many of us that would like to have it. So here's what it looks like. Lara had done the top, like, row, and then half-ish of the next one. I have stitched out some of the colors that she had parked, and I've come down here and I've stitched this blue. That's what I'm working on right now. Mostly is that blue color, which is all of this, like, yellow. So, and you can see this is, yeah, this yellow is like a, I don't know, sun ray burst or something. I don't know. This is sky. This is not sky. But none of this has been done. So you can see up here what's been done. So it's filling a void that I needed, and I wish that there were more options where the artists were getting paid for their work as well, and credited and all of that. These are what the colors look like. Maybe this way. There's half of them. Here's the other half. Lots and lots of blue. Lots of different blues. But there's a lot of other colors too. So that'll be fun. It'll be fun, and then I'll give it back to her in March, probably, when I see her again. Okay. That's all my projects. It is now, like, almost the end of November, but, like, because of traveling and the way my videos fell, I forgot to talk about what countries that I should be covering with my daughter this month, and I don't know. We haven't done anything very formal, it feels like, all month. It is England, Ireland, and Scotland. So, if there is anything about, like, that kind of area, England, Ireland, and Scotland, I do know people have sent me pictures. Becky, you sent me pictures from where you live in that area. So, that was timely because it was this month that we should be covering that. So things, what I'm mostly interested in are, because it is kind of more well known for America anyway, it would be really cool if there were things about, like, those areas that are lesser known, or that only locals would know, or something about the culture that you know is different, especially different from America, since that's where I am. The nature topic is rocks. So if you know anything about rocks, feel free to send it my way. One more thing. I almost forgot this. I don't know how, because it's sitting right here. I wanted to talk about plans, and I thought it'd be a good time to bring out this board, which I haven't touched since Mania. So not every project is represented here. I'm missing the two projects I have started since Mania, Sabrina and Spirit of the Phoenix. But that's okay. I have 25 projects right now. Let me just explain as I go. Okay, so I have finished this is so fun. Look at all of these I finished. Look at that. So fun. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So this is what is left. And I feel like I need to just rearrange a little bit as I talk. Now that Mystery Town is finished, my 6 oldest projects are all full coverage. So what I had been doing was, like, I have a daily piece, Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, and then I had kind of these categories. I had a travel stitching, which is right now November, and then will be December from Calendar Girls. And then I had like another full coverage, like I have a full coverage thing, rotation thing. Anyway, so a full coverage and then like my oldest non-full coverage as until it's finished. Well, now my oldest 6 pieces are all full coverage. And they were all started prior to this year. So my next non-full coverage piece, or my oldest non-full coverage piece, is my Temperature Library, and I started that in January of 2022. So I think that's kind of got maybe put on, it's like set aside. Not that this is going to be set aside. Let me start. Continue. I'm just going to continue on. I feel like I'm confusing myself and what I'm trying to say. And I think it's because my plans are perhaps not fully concrete yet. But they kind of are at this point. I just haven't put them all together. Okay, so Treasure Hunt Bookshelf. This is my daily piece for the next 2 years. Nothing is going to take its spot until then. And then it's going to go, there is a plan for what's going to take its place among all my full coverage. But we don't have to worry about that for 2 more years. Full coverage wise, I have a rotation set up that goes between my focus, which is Queen of the Night, and all the other full coverage. So this I'm going to reach 30%. And then Father Christmas with Toys will come out until it gets its goal. But it's pretty much, I'm basically going to be working like 1.5% on it. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up again. It's written down somewhere. When I meet that goal, I will come back to Queen of the Night, and I will go 10%. So from 30 to 40%. And then I think I go to Frodo and Galadriel for 1%. Back here for 10%, and then whatever is the next one, full coverage for 1%. Okay? Because this needs attention. It needs to be finished. It needs a lot of attention in order to be finished next year. Because that's when I want it finished, is next year. So that's my plan with my full coverage. The library is like my current Stitch 30. So what I'm thinking, since it is now my oldest non-full coverage project, is that I will, when I finish that one, I'll just move to the next oldest non-full coverage project for 30 minutes. I think this one is next. This garden one, I think, is next. I'm not totally sure. When I finish my travel pieces, my calendar girls, this is a small piece. God rest you, merry gentlemen, and so is how great thou art. So I think I will slot those in. I need to move right here. And then 1 or 2 days a month, I'm just going to have like a stitch on whatever. Oh my goodness, Nomies does not want to stay up. I'm just going to have like a stitch on whatever I want day, and like legit anything goes. I will work on whatever I want. And remember, there's 2 pieces, Sabrina and Spirit of the Phoenix, that I've started that aren't on here. Oh, speaking of starts. Okay. Well, look at that. This is only 23 out of the 25 projects, but taking those other ones off makes my board, like, it creates space, which is what I was wanting to do. After Mania, and I felt that, like, overwhelmed. I just needed space. Okay, starts. Hold on. Whoops. I'm tripping over stuff. Okay. You all know my Lord of the Rings wall is like super popular among you guys. When I put this together, like, to explain my vision for this Lord of the Rings wall that won't be done until I'm like 45 years old or later, when I put this paper together, I had no idea how many of you like would love this too. Not that you guys are as crazy as me and have like an entire wall. Like, this is 2 million stitches. Just these patterns right here. But I get asked about it all the time. About my Lord of the Rings wall of like when I'm gonna start. Frodo is started, but when am I gonna start my other pieces? Why doesn't Frodo get worked on more? You guys are like the biggest cheerleaders about this wall. I love it so much. So over the weekend, during my live streams, this piece came up a lot. Rivendell. It is a golden kite pattern. It is called Home in the Mountains. And look, it's Rivendell, and you can see the people here. The Fellowship. But isn't that so gorgeous? The version that I have is the standard size blended colors. I looked at all the mock-ups and I wanted all the details, especially because you have those little people here, but also just because I love all the details and I want all the details. The stitch count is 346,500. Okay, so it's a 700 by 495, and there's your total stitch count. I did get the blended threads version. Okay, so this came up a lot. There was somebody saying that they bought it. Somebody else a couple days before had messaged me saying that they bought it. There were a lot of questions about how to find it on the website and which version I got. And of course the question of, when are you starting it? The answer to that has now become February 24th, 2023. Okay? If you are interested in starting this, we are going to start it around my birthday. I don't care if it's before or after or like tomorrow. Do whatever you want. But we all love the excitement of starting things together. So my birthday is the end of February. So this gives you time to either to acquire the things that you need to start it. Golden kite patterns are not cheap. They're quite expensive. So here are 2 things you can do to get it cheaper. This pattern comes and goes from the Golden Kite website. I don't know why that is, but it does. If it is not on the website, you can email them or contact them. I don't know if it's an email address or if it's like a contact form on their website. But contact them and you can tell them that you want that pattern, and they will get it to you. Sylvie let me know that that's how she got it. So she said that they were super helpful and it was pretty easy to do. So if it is not on the website, contact them and you can still get it that way. If it is on the website, there's 3 ways you can get this, okay? You can just pay for it outright at whatever price it says. 2 is that they have like a weekly deal page that are, I think, 20% cheaper. I have seen this pattern on that weekly deals, but you'd have to watch it to see if it shows up there. So that means checking like every week to see. I don't know anything about their sales or anything, but I have seen it on there, and you can get it 20% cheaper that way. The third way is that their website has a buy 3 or more patterns and get 30% off your total amount. So you can get this pattern, and if you're not really interested in any other pattern, just like go and find their very cheapest patterns. It's like $2 or something like that. Add those to your cart. The 30% discount is cheaper than the cost of like the 2 patterns. Like you're still saving money by getting those 2 extra patterns and the 30% discount. You can number crunch that if you need to, but you can do that. There is a 4th way. The 4th way is to watch for the weekly deal to see if this ever comes up, and then get that and 2 other cheap patterns. And it'll be even cheaper because you'll get the 20% off, and then adding 2 other patterns, you get the 30% off. So there's options, and putting a start date out at the end of February allows for you, if you're interested and you want to look for that deal, you have time, because yes, golden kites are not, they're expensive, okay? And let's save some money where we can, and then we can buy more charts with it, and fabric, and floss, and stands, and tablets, and whatever else we need for our stitching. So if you want to start Rivendell with me, I will probably make it a live stream if you guys really want. We can do that. That's what it's going to be. It's going to take you some time to get the fabric or the chart, because you're going to look for that deal. You can still prepare your fabric by knowing that this is your stitch count. Okay? I think I covered everything. I'll tell you, I really want to start all of these, but I have so many full coverage started, and I already am not giving all of them enough attention that I don't know. I don't know that I can do that, but I want to. I want to start them all. I do have like 4 starts saved up. So every 2 projects I finish, I can start another one whenever I feel like starting one. And I've saved up those starts. And I've only started one thing. So I have finished 10 projects since I started that, which is 5 starts. And I've started one thing. So now I have 4 more starts. I don't know, I want to start something on New Year's, but I don't know what. And maybe I'll choose one of the Lord of the Rings. And then my birthday will be another Lord of the Rings. Or maybe New Year's I'll start The Year in the Woods, because I want to get those started. I definitely have enough things to get that started. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I haven't really felt the need to start a lot of things. And it's felt really good to get things finished and to have that whip count coming down again. That's all. I think that's all. And I think you're wonderful. I truly, truly think that you are wonderful. And I'm so grateful that you have spent this time with me today and all the other days. And hope that you were able to get some good stitching in while watching this video today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, or you can message me directly on Instagram, The Brown-Eyed Stitcher. I am always open. The giveaway that is being run on my WIT parade, that is still going to run for two more weeks. Whatever I said on there, December 4th, is that 2 weeks from now? It's still gonna run, and I'm still regularly getting comments on that, so that was a good choice I made to push it out. Anyway, much love to you, and I will talk to you whenever, literally whenever. I love you guys.